More vivid than life, more enchanting than art, Istanbul, the magic city, stands proudly on 7 hills, the eyes, the light, and the tongue of the Mediterranean. Here, Europe and Asia unite in friendship at the blue waters of the Bosphorus, in a city which claims the longest line of continuous history and importance of any metropolis in the world. Istanbul, where the Black Sea flows into the Mediterranean, is easily accessible by boat, rail, and plane. Our story catches a few fleeting moments in the holiday pleasures of one young couple who visit the city in search of fun, information, and the flavor of a historic, age-old culture. Hospitality begins at the airport. Here, our couple's guide and companion first plays the role of a gracious hostess to a new pair of guests. From the air terminal, our trio continues by car to the city proper. Information is readily available in concise, accurate English guidebooks, but a guided tour promises the personalized attention which many travelers most enjoy and put to best use. Windswept exhilaration alternates with an equally breezy factual account of the city's colorful past and dynamic present. Our friends drive past the 2,000-year-old city walls, and here is but the first of many startling contrasts of old and new. In this magic city, man's progress in the arts of civilization is on display in its varying stages. This ancient aqueduct, rebuilt in the 15th century, stands as a symbol of the urban interests of the Ottoman Turks. Across the Galata Bridge, we span the Golden Horn, an important landmark in history. Past modern apartments, the group continues to comfortable hotel quarters and a moment to freshen up. Then a high point in the holiday, a visit to the famous Blue Mosque with its 6 lofty minarets. This overpowering religious edifice is a perfect example of the architectural skill of the Turks, who invented the cascading domes. Everywhere, blue skyline is dotted with domes and pointed spires. Istanbul is a city of mosques and minarets. Sanctuary of the ages is world-renowned St. Sophia. Built in the 6th century, it is the oldest building still in use, now as a museum. Largest and most grandiose of all the city's mosques is appropriately that of Sultan Süleyman the Magnificent. It rises from the crest of a cypress-gardened hill dominating the Golden Horn. Süleyman's mosque was built by Sinan, greatest of the Turkish architects, whose pupils designed work as far distant as India's Taj Mahal and the famous bridges of the Danube. Nearby, just as we would expect from the medieval origins, our friends find buildings of one of the world's oldest medical schools. These, renovated, are still in use, while new buildings are patterned after the old. The Free University of Istanbul is a modern, meaningful educational gift to all of Eastern Europe. Istanbul offers a variety of awesome, unrestricted views across and beyond its cosmopolitan limits. Fountains and palaces, seem to be everywhere. And next on the itinerary is a trip to 3 fabulous palaces. First, the Topkapi. Through its famous gate have passed 20 generations of Ottoman Turkish emperors. Its gardens have for centuries been adorned with tulips. The Dutch first obtained their bulbs from here. Dolmabahce Palace rests serene and luxurious in its natural setting by the blue waters of the Bosphorus. It was built about 100 years ago, immense and splendid as a symbol of Ottoman Turkish might in the age of mighty empires. Many worldwide travelers receive here the best nostalgic glimpse of the regal splendors of the past. Here, our friends continue to absorb another phase of history. Today, this palace, which is a museum also, at times serves as a majestic guest house to kings, queens, and presidents that pay state visits to Turkey. Our friends, having visited the palace, walked to a nearby open-air cafe at the seaside, an idea brought to Europe from here in 1554. To every table comes an individual samovar and, if a guest wishes, a water pipe. Here is Turkey's century-old solution to our modern-day search for the cooling smoke that removes nicotine but none of the flavor. Tea is specially brewed for the customer. Watch out, fella. It's hot. Every cup of the warming, delectable tea which the international visitor sips in the open-air cafes of Istanbul beside the Bosphorus becomes a gesture of appreciation and thanks for all that this magic city has to offer. In this country, the people say, a cup of coffee or tea commits one to 40 years' friendship. Our friends are eating paper helva, Turkey's starch and sugar specialty. Now, on with our tour and a new experience. A craftsman in copper and brass with his wares and his work spread out about him on the street. Surely one of the great pleasures of traveling is shopping in faraway lands, choosing and buying goods unavailable at home. Here they are, all handmade on the spot. Our friends enjoy the pleasure of examining and selecting a samovar similar to the one so recently seen at the coffee house. And soon it's theirs, a permanent reminder of a certain day in the streets of Istanbul. Gift items of copper are handsome, varied, and inexpensive. Once pans for burning charcoal, braziers could make unique flower pots. A coffee grinder. Bronze and copper have been craft traditions for centuries. This part of the world was one of the earliest centers of metalworking. This is evidenced by the workmanship of fine silver filigree as well. Ceramics remains an industry at which the Turkish people excel, and fine glazed surfaces are found to be equally handsome and well employed in the architecture of interior decoration and in utensils, in jars, pots, cups, and plates, molded in clay on a whirling potter's wheel or hand-carved in meerschaum. The Turkish ceramics make a multi-hued myriad of beautiful, useful items. This young lady, the recent purchaser of a lovely Angora shawl, now has an eye out for some attractive ceramics. All the world knows the Turkish rug, and now we catch a glimpse of its loving and careful construction by workers trained in a tradition of intricate skills. Who can't remember fabled childhood stories of fine Turkish rugs in courts and bazaars, gifts of carpets to rich grand monarchs? Here it all comes alive in the world of today as we witness ourselves their preparation and ultimate completion. Work, say the people, means a short day and a long life. For every specimen, there's a unique design, historic in origin, yet personalized, as an individual artist elects to use special colors and to indulge his special feeling for variation. Husband and wife agree to buy one, but when it comes to which, wonder who's winning. Trained artists use as inspiration the art and design of early days. Every step of embroidery and weaving is first carefully plotted in outline. Everyone has heard of famous Turkish brocade, and choice fabrics, Turkish silk especially, can be seen and secured everywhere by the yard or made up into items of feminine wear carefully fitted and designed by imaginative dressmakers. In an open-air fashion show, our friends see the attractive results of this skill and care. Age-old Turkey draws from the treasures of its past to present traditional garb and new creations, modern in temper, yet firm in what is available out of the past. Old and new in harmonious contrast. This is the story of fashion and in many ways of the nation. For today's Turkey has been drawn from the old culture and forged in the modern mind of its creator, Kemal Atatürk, father of the new country. In Galata Bridge, we get a glimpse of the people leading industrious, comfortable lives. And as old Istanbul rises on a rounded promontory at the very tip of Europe, the surge of the city moves across the Golden Horn. At the other side is the mercantile quarter, rising steeply to a modern section of smart shops, hotels, consulates, offices, restaurants, and nightclubs. At the crossroads, Galata Bridge is truly the grand central station of Turkey, nerve center of the city. Both commuters and visitors use the ferry. Across the Bosphorus, the ferry becomes a main stem of water fun. For about 14 miles, your trip carries you along between Europe and Asia, stopping now at one continent, now at the other. The Bosphorus is one of the most important gateways in the world, connecting the Black Sea with the Mediterranean by way of the Marmara Sea. Istanbul extends over all the area visible here. The western side of the Bosphorus is part of the continent of Europe, and a short 5-minute ferry ride takes us to the opposite shore, which geographically is part of Asia. This is one of the most exciting waterways in all the world, crowded with international and domestic trade, commuters, yachts, fishing boats, and swimmers. The colors of the Bosphorus change at different times of day and different months of the year as climate and temperature call up a rainbow of colors and hues from the depths of the sea. In a spot so scenic, rich in the enchantment of nature and the surge of busy life, royalty in past centuries built resorts to enjoy its pleasures. The palaces which resulted adorn the shoreline, and yachtsmen world over sail in to see them. Now, looking out from the boat, we see modern residential quarters. A few miles further up, our excursioning couple catch glimpses of the waterside life of Istanbul. Villas and villages adorn the two shores of the Bosphorus. People have always enjoyed this resort world, living on the water's edge and buying their food from the sea. All along the straits, boatsmen carry their cargoes of foodstuffs to waiting customers and marketplaces to bring the fruits of a seaborne service. The sight of this busy life amid glistening phosphorescent waters is an image long remembered. On the ferry itself, our couple sees other travelers greet the arrival of a waiter with rich Turkish coffee. At your service with the time out to enjoy a pearl of Turkish invention. Approaching shore, they see the fishermen returning in their small boats. Back on land, men of the sea untangle their nets for yet another trip to the water from which they draw their livelihood and much of the city's sustenance. And what catches? Like the lobster, glory of the sea. Turkish cooking is one of the 4 great cuisines of the world. A visit to a restaurant kitchen will mean delight to the beholder and compliments to the chef. Restaurants are plentiful and unique. Common to many is the chance to pick the live, fresh fish you want, then see it served, cooked, succulent, and ready, and even further enhanced with a glass of Turkish wine. Outside dining is a favorite pastime along the waterside where boats glide by within hailing distance. After the meal, a walk in the countryside in search of further entertainment, new or familiar, but surely interesting. This time, it's to a golf course. On the links, the travelers find that a game originating in distant Scotland is today as popular in Turkey as, well, as coffee on the bonny banks. Thrills of horsemanship have become another sure and natural association with Turkey. At a jumping competition, skill and confidence combine with vivid spectacle before crowds of enthusiasts. Incidentally, did you know it was some early unknown Turk, sad but wiser, who first said it is useless to lock the stable after the horse has been stolen? One afternoon, our young friends elected to pay a visit to the islands in the Marmara Sea. This was the time for a whirlwind check on the resort pleasures of a lively contemporary spot. And it started with a horse ride in a real-life surrey with a fringe on top, and young cowboys on burros to boot. With water so prominent in the lives of the people here, no one would find exceptional the attention attached to the fun of sailing. All sailors are welcome at the Yacht Club, a bustling center of trim craft active in the blue waters of the Marmara. Running both north and south from Istanbul, many bathing resorts along the Turkish shore have become popular goals of summer travelers and residents alike. The shoreline is studded with many of the finest beaches in all Europe. In Istanbul, this flight into the pages of history is continued with a pleasant dip into the blue sea. Now for a change from the sea within the same day. In fact, within the same hour. A fast 15-minute hop by air brings you to Bursa, the first capital of the old Turkish Empire. This neighbor area to Istanbul is the setting for snowfields even in summer, and in the winter, a skier's paradise. Also, it's the seat of healthful mineral baths, world famous for aid to rheumatism and arthritis. These are the slopes of the mountain that the ancients named after Olympus, and the people today called Uludag. Cool and different in summer, thoughts here turn to climbing and picnic excursions in a surrounding of rich forest and clear, cold springs. For our friends, the peak of Mount Olympus is momentarily the top of the world. At the foot of the mountain lies the city of Bursa. Traditionally, this section is known as Green Bursa, for mountain waters so feed the valley that all the countryside is evergreen, except when winter's snow blankets the land. All year round, Bursa delights the camera fan. Narrow streets and historic houses remind us of the city's age, while sumptuous mosques, tombs, baths, monuments, and fountains evidence its early predominance as a Turkish pantheon. The octagonal green tomb of Mehmed I and his family. Here the tile work especially overwhelms the visitor in beauty of tone and decor. Many consider it the finest in the world. Before going back, a taste of cool roadside sherbet, originally Turkish, which they drink and we eat as a frozen ice. Upon their return to Istanbul, our travelers were fortunate to be present at the country's annual youth festival. This is a time of spectacle when the young people of the land meet to celebrate an anniversary of Kemal Atatürk. Represented by different colors and flowers, each school parades proudly in competition. With bands in full swing and the precision of synchronized step, the performance might well be likened to a scout jamboree combined with our American 4th of July. Everywhere are historic costumes of old Turkey in colorful display. Gymnastics demonstrate the physical fitness of the country's young people. It is to the youth that any country looks, and Turkey shows herself proud and confident of her own. Like ever watchful parents, the country encourages every activity designed to promote and develop the young people's interest in physical well-being, with the healthful assurance that naturally follows from such attention. Then finally, a culmination of the afternoon spectacle, the massive, breathtaking human pyramid. In the human architecture of coordinated bodies, we find insight into what we have learned of Istanbul, a miracle born of the union of prodigal nature with perfect art. Nowhere else has man's work been so harmonious with nature and with such fortunate effect as in Istanbul, the magic city.